Hello and welcome to everyone to this new episode of Deep Point with GillyCricket. It's been a disappointing last few days for Indian cricket fans, given uh, India lost a series to Bangladesh, which I don't think anyone expected, and before that they lost the ODI series in New Zealand rather, and they weren't really, that convincing in the T20 series before the ODI series against New Zealand, and we all know what happened in the T20 World Cup. So not being a few great days for the Indian cricket team, especially the men's cricket team. The reason why I'm doing this show earlier today is because at 7 p.m. the women's team take on the Australian women's team in the first T20I of the five-match series between India's women's team and the Australian women's team. It's going to be a great series, and I didn't want to miss the series myself. And I also expected that people will be watching that series, so we won't be able to have as interactive as a show as we've had in recent times. So that's why the shift in the time. There have been a few comments that have been that have come in already. There is Vansh Kothari who's saying I agree with what Venki Prasad said, especially for India when they were automatically qualified as hosts. Also, the series is not a part of the ODI Super League, and we should not forget we are not playing our first choice players like Umrah, Hardik Jadeja, and Kuldeep Chahal. Balance which Hardik Jaddu gave is unmatchable. Correct. Also, like I said in that tweet yesterday, that in that period where India dominated ODI cricket from the beginning of 2016 to the end of 2019 World Cup, India had a lot of players in their peak. They also had someone like Kedar Jadhav, who was a great addition to the squad. Kuldeep and Chahal were not sorted out yet. Now we know they aren't at their best either. Uh, Ravindra Jadeja had gone out of the team, but then he made a comeback. Now he's not doing that great with the ball, and he's also aging. He's just turned 34. So a lot of players were in their peak at that point of time, and India did achieve a few things that hadn't happened earlier. India had won an ODI series 5-1 in South Africa. India had won an ODI series in Australia. India had won an ODI series in New Zealand. So yes, India did not win the World Cup in 2019, and they could not win the final of the Champions Trophy in 2017. But that was a very good ODI side, and we need to acknowledge that because we also need to understand that these games that happen, the knockout games do carry some bit of luck attached to them, and sometimes you are just unlucky and you can't do anything about it. I'm not saying that India were unlucky. I'm just saying that India would have easily won those games as well, maybe for a thing or two over there, here and there. So it's not fair to judge sides just on the basis of what they have done in the world tournaments. You also have to reward consistency in some way or the other. And I think largely before COVID, India have been a very good ODI side. Post COVID, India also haven't played a lot of ODIs, and we played one series in Sri Lanka where we had six players out of COVID, and it was out due to COVID, and it was not even a second string team. So we need to keep these things in mind as well, and that's why we need to be cognizant of that. Now that a lot of questions haven't come in yet, I think I might as well add a colleague of mine, and we'll particularly look at the numbers of Indian bowlers post the 2019 World Cup in all phases. In the power play, in the middle overs, that is overs 11 to 40, and then the death overs. So I'll add on our statsman Anirudh Kasargod on the show, and we'll just discuss a few things with respect to the numbers of Indian bowlers, and then take it forward from there. Hi
Ah,
Anirudh, how are you?
hello, Paji. How are you?
I'm good. So Anirudh, why don't you just deep dive into a few of those numbers and tell us that what exactly has worked for India post the 2019 World Cup and what hasn't, and what has changed in this year? Because I think, if I'm not wrong, India played only six ODIs in 2020, three against Australia at home. After which the pandemic happened, and then India played three ODIs in Australia. And I think in 2021 as well, India played three ODIs against England. After which again the second wave came, and a lot of cricket did not happen. And then I think there were three ODIs in Sri Lanka, and yeah. I think that India have only played 12 ODI games in 2020 and 2021 combined, and none of them with like not with a lot of consistency either. So just tell us something about a few numbers and tell us how the Indian bowling has improved in this year because I think it has despite the results.
Yes, basically, the most horrifying thing was India's bowling in the power play in ODIs. That was really terrible post the World Cup. If you see, like in 2021, they played nine. In 2020, they played 9 matches, picked up only 4 wickets. At a strike rate of 135, and 2021 they picked up 4 wickets in 6 matches at a strike rate of 90. So this year it has changed a lot. Like even though they have played more matches, so they have picked up 38 wickets, at a strike rate of 34.7, which is like in combined post the World Cup till 2021. So they had picked up only 10 wickets in the power play out of how many? 9, 6, 14, 23 matches. In this year, the power play bowling seems to be the biggest positive. So, and in that space, it's Mohammad Siraj who has dominated everything. And that is because Mohammad Siraj has played most of the matches this year. So he has picked up his ODI wickets, 15 wickets in the power play this year, which is the most for any bowler. I, so that is one area of improvement. And coming to spin in the middle overs, India have had this trouble of whether going to the pacers or spinners. Like we'll keep the attacking spinner or this option. So that has been one of the biggest problems which I have seen. If you see in 2019, in 2019, spinners had picked up 12 wickets at a strike rate of 42.8 in the in the middle overs. That is 11 to 40, whereas
Yeah.
the Pacers had
If,
more
if
wickets.
if I'm not wrong, I think Yuzvendra Chahal was the highest wicket taker among spinners in the 2019 World Cup.
Yes, he was. So that is one thing. And again, in 2020, spinners were better, but it's not that it was great actually. Like there is not, it's not that drastic. So Pacers had picked up a wicket every 69.8 balls, and spinners had picked up 57.5. Whereas in 2021, again that changed. There was again a huge, massive difference between Pacers and spinners in the middle overs. So, like in 6 matches, 25 wickets for Pacers at a strike rate of 19.2 as compared to 59.4 to spinners. So, the thing what we can observe is like just based on numbers, it's just that India do not know like how to go with. Is it gonna be both side spin or one side pace or one side spin? They are not able to get it because every alternate year they are getting alternate results. Either one year pacers are doing good, spinners are very bad. Spinners are doing good, pacers are very bad. So they're not able to get that combination.
Also, something just before I say the next thing, I just want to ask all the viewers who are watching right now, uh, guys, please press the like button. It helps us in beating the YouTube algorithm. And if you're liking this show, please subscribe to your channel as well and share it with your other friends. There's Rinku Mehra who's sending in a comment, not exactly a question. He's saying that पाजी के राहुल को बोल दो कैप्टनसी अच्छी कर ले टेस्ट सीरीज में WBC final spot at stake है. India should comfortably win Test series. Uh, anyway superior. We are anyway superior in the format. Uh, you've rightly said कि हम superior हैं इस format में, but I think if we are a superior side, then Test match is one format where in-game captaincy is not going to make a lot of difference. I feel
जी
uh, because it's a longish format. The quality anyway comes out on top and it reigns supreme. But yes, we'd have to see how KL Rahul captains tomorrow. But I also think sometimes KL Rahul पे बहुत ज़्यादा scrutiny होती है captaincy की because there are few things which he can't control. Everyone keeps talking about oh we lost the Johannesburg Test when KL Rahul was captain. But no, all teams are going to struggle winning a test match there if you have one bowler injured because Mohammad Siraj was injured. And the way Jasprit Bumrah bowled in that second innings, he went for more than 4 runs and over. So I just tweeted मैंने ये 2 दिन पहले tweet किया था कि I wish Bumrah would have bowled the spell that he bowled in Cape Town in the first innings, in the second innings at Joburg. Because if that had happened, India would have won that Test match and the Test series, and then they wouldn't have cared about what happens in the third Test. So कभी-कभी ऐसी चीजें हो जाती हैं. But yes, please like the video and. Yeah, to something what Anirudh said, I think what has also happened with India is that they've tried to they've not been lucky with injuries as well. They've tried to have Deepak Chahar at number 8, but he's been in and out of the side. And now Shardul has started to improve. Shardul's career bowling average, was more than 40 before the ODI series versus West Indies. I think now it's down to 35. If I'm not wrong, it's around 33. And I think that he's actually improved as a bowler. He's still struggling sometimes while bowling at the death. But if we look at the numbers that that Anirudh had shared with us, uh, Shardul Thakur has the most wickets for India in the middle overs, which is overs 11 to 40, at a good average of 26.5, and the strike rate's not bad either. It's 28, and he's not giving a lot of boundaries either because his balls per boundary is 9.3. So I think he's improved. Earlier, maybe this balls per boundary could have been somewhere around 7 or less than 7 because he was quite an expensive bowler. But he's improved and he's done. He's not take wickets in the depth in the power play, but I think he's really had an impact in the middle overs. What do you think?
That is, in the absence of in the absence of Hardik Pandya, he has been filling that role. It's not that he hasn't done anything. I know Hardik is a superior in when it comes to batting, but what role he has been given is to give that control in that middle overs. If he's not picking up wickets, he doesn't go for runs. Even if he's going for runs, sometimes he picks up those wickets. That is what you need. Like when others are not picking up wickets, if he is doing that job, then that's fair enough. ये नहीं कह सकते कि हाँ उसने कुछ नहीं किया मतलब like he had what in the limited chances he has done what is possible from his side कि ये like the main thing हमारे यहाँ पे जो होता है like we know we have spin bowling all rounders हमारे पास बहुत सारे हैं like we have a lot of armory of it हमारे पास अभी शाहबाज अहमद है like Washington Sundar even if he's injured that is fine you have Ravindra Jadeja as well you have Aksar Patel you have spin bowling all rounders but there is a scarcity for these medium pace all rounders. I know he's not to the caliber of Hardik's batting, but he can bat.
Yeah,
He
he
has
can
the
improve,
ability to
and
bat.
and
He
he's
has
he's,
the
he's
ability to
he's
bat.
improved as well. He's
He
improved
is
as well.
improved.
A lot of people actually don't know that before he made his test debut, his first class average was around 16, 17, and
Yeah,
now his test batting average is clearly more than that. Uh, just, just 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 taking a few comments now
yeah.
before we move on to discussing something else. Bhanu Prasad is asking, will Rahul Tripathi get a chance in the final ODI? I this is something which remains to be seen. If I think the first opener or the first backup opener as of now is Ishan Kishan, so I see Ishan Kishan coming in for sure. Now, if India do want to drop Shikhar Dhawan, I am okay with that, and they can then open with Rahul Tripathi. But my issue is that then where does it leave him? Because what we have seen is that someone like Ruturaj Gaikwad got 1 game. So if India are not going to give more games to someone like Rahul Tripathi or Rajat Patidar going forward, then they might as well give Shikhar Dhawan another game, right? And see what happens. Because if you add on one more player right now, then it becomes even more difficult to nail the final 15 because
Yeah.
then your mind is also cluttered. And this is why I'm going to take the next comment which is coming. which is by Vansh Kothari, who's saying, I think going forward from the Lanka home series, we should have these 15 players on the radar: Rohit, Gill, Virat, Shreyas, Pant, Rahul, Samson, Jadeja, Hardik, Bumrah, Kuldeep, Siraj, Chahal, Sundar, Sky. I pretty much agree with this, but I'm surprised why there is no Mohammad Shami. Uh, and I am also surprised why there is no Bishnoi. See, I think uh, narrowing the 15 comes later. You first have to narrow your first 20 or maybe 22 players, right? Like who
Yeah,
all could be the backup in case of an injury. So while I largely agree with the 15 that has been shared here, I think narrowing the 15 from right now, you can't narrow the 15 from right now. You have to narrow the first 20, 22 players and then start to narrow the 15 and then start developing on the combinations, which is exactly why I'm not sure if giving a chance to Rahul Tripathi or Rajat Paidar is a great idea or not. Because
yeah,
if it's only about one game, what is it going to gain? What are you going to gain out of it? Because, like I said, someone like Ruturaj Gaikwad only played one ODI, and now he's been out of the team. Same as Ravi Bishnoi. So, and we all know Avesh Khan is also somewhere in the wilderness. We don't know where he is. So, I think the temptation to give more debuts right now needs to be stopped, and we need to narrow down the 15 that we need to narrow down to the 2020, a set of 22 players, and then narrow down the 15 from there. Now taking in the next comment, Archit Aryaman saying, lot of chatter going on about decline of Indian cricket. Your thoughts? While the world is raving about baseball, we should appreciate the grit of young Chandrapal in Australia has a stance like his father. Uh, Quite a loaded comment because there are three topics on it. See, I don't think any team or any team in the world in any sport can ever ensure that they never have a decline. I don't think that's possible because uh, players will have their certain peaks, and then after a certain point they will start declining. Now, our top three isn't the same, right?
yeah.
Rohit's going to be 36. Shikhar Dhawan's already 36. Virat Kohli is also not at his best. I don't think that he can. He's still playing the spin the way he used to uh,
Exactly.
before 2019, where he was just too good against spin. So our top three is not the same. Ravindra Jadeja is 34, right? Mohammad Shami is aging, and Bhuvneshwar Kumar, who bowled very well in the 2019 World Cup, we know he's on a decline. Someone like Chehal's on a decline. So when you have your existing players on a decline, it's very difficult to have a hard reset straight away. It will happen
Yeah,
as a process, and in that meantime or in that process, you will lose a few games. So I'm not sure that it's it is going to lead to a major decline because India do have enough talent and depth coming in the pipeline. It's just about managing that, and hopefully India find a way. Coming to baseball, I still think 7-8 test matches aren't enough, and that strategy needs to be tried on different kind of pitches. We saw what happened today. I despite the pitch having spin, I think 350 could have still been scored on that pitch because uh, I thought somewhere England just didn't have any faith in their defense. Their go-to shot was sweep to spin, and definitely three or four dismissals could have been avoided. So now we'll have to wait and see how Pakistan bat, because if Pakistan bat well, uh, and on these pitches, day two is sort of the best day to bat. If Pakistan bat well
yeah,
and they put on a lead of 150, then things could get really interesting. And from there on, you could expect Pakistan to dictate terms. Though what I think Pakistan lack are disciplined spinners. Zahid Mohammed lacked a lot of discipline today. Uh, Nawaz should have done better because he's a finger spinner, and you expect someone who's bowled in T20s to at least be economical in Test matches. That didn't happen. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. At least I'd like to wait and see before I start raving about baseball. And then there is the grit of young Chandrapal. Well, yes, it's possible that by the end of this innings, that West Indies are batting, that he might have batted with all the 11 players because West Indies are 4 down already. And I thought last game West Indies batted quite well. They batted more overs than Australia. They batted 200 overs in the Test match. They were let down
Yeah.
by their bowling, and with the ball, West Indies averaged more than 100 runs per wicket this series. So it's quite unfortunate. And yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything more to discuss with regards to this comment. Uh,
And in yesterday's show as well, I was stressing on that itself. Like all these topics are coming out on Rohit. Like the shots are fired on Rohit and Dravid just because your seven of your prime players are not in form, and they are the prime players who you cannot drop. And like none of the coaching stint or in none of the captaincy coaching stint, they had their maximum two prime players, more than two prime players out of form. They didn't have any phase like this. So this is one of the things which I was stressing on yesterday. It's not easy to come out of this because like even if you take gutsy decisions, that's gonna backfire you again. Even
yeah,
if you okay, fine. Even if you think, I'll go ahead and drop Virat Kohli because he's not in form. I'll take out Rohit Sharma's captaincy. If you drop all three of them, that needs a gutsy decision, and no one has that decision. No one has that
yeah.
guts to do it.
See, I'll say one more thing. I'll say that even if India look to change or change the captaincy right now for the 23 World Cup, right? It will be a case of it will be a case of India committing two wrongs, because I thought that when they when they changed the captaincy, ODI captaincy, last year, after the World T20, and handed it over to Rohit, I thought that was wrong, because Virat Kohli deserved to lead in a home World Cup, and India's record overall was fine. And I personally thought, uh, that Virat Kohli had become a better captain after what had happened in 2019 World Cup. He understood the
Yeah,
need to back players and become consistent with it. So there was a certain amount of change in his captaincy, and that was visible even at RCB. Because RCB also at one point of time was functioning like the Indian team, where you would have two or three changes every game, like what was
yeah,
happening in his captaincy. So he had improved. Now you've already done that wrong. Now, if you do the same with Rohit Sharma, right, and you remove him as a captain from the ODI team on the basis of the result of the T20 World Cup, then you are committing another wrong, and you are not going to gain anything out of it. So I also feel
exactly.
that now that you've named Rohit Sharma the captain for the next World Cup, you need to stick with that, because bringing in a new captain right now will only create more uncertain environment without any clarity whatsoever as to what is ahead. So that I think should be completely out of the window. Priyanshu Shah's mentioning about how our top order used to look sorted every before in 2050, and now it's the middle order looks solid. That's what I'm saying. Like now, and this is the age where the likes of Shreyas Iyer, Rishabh Pant, and KL Rahul will hit their peaks, because they are 24, 27, 30. They already have the experience, and they're settled into a role. They know how to pace the innings. They've had decent amount of experience, and that is why they've become better. And like I mentioned earlier, our top three now are slowly moving towards an age after which your reflexes start slowing down. So it's just the nature of the sport. There's a question that has come for you, Anirudh. It's by
Okay.
Akash Sivasubramanian. Do India persist with Deepak Chahar just because he can bat, or should they look at Prasid instead and back him?
I would go with Prasid. I would go with Prasid. Like if you have the thing is, if you are playing with your full strength squad, that is with Hardik and Jadeja, you have batters till seven. You have batters till seven at least, because Hardik is going to bat at six, and you'll have Jadeja at seven, and then even if you go with Sundar as your other spinner, then you have eight Sundar at eight, and then three fast bowlers. I would definitely go with Prasid, Bumrah, and Shami, or maybe Arshdeep.
No
These three would
Siraj?
be.
No Siraj.
Siraj would be my backup because I would go with Arshdeep just because of the X factor. He's a left arm pacer, and he has the capacity to swing the ball both ways, and that is one of the biggest plus points. Like for a long time, India haven't had any left arm spinner who left arm pacer who can just swing it both ways. So Arshdeep is one of them. So that is the X factor why I'm giving. I would prefer him over Shami, obviously over Shami and Prasid and Bumrah. These three would be my pacers for the World Cup. That is for sure, irrespective of any pitch they're playing. So one thing, like you will have three different kind of pacers. One who hits the deck hard, that is Prasid. One who can swing both the ways, and Bumrah has the ability to swing the ball as well. And Arshdeep and Bumrah can control the death overs as well as Prasid can do that. So you will have the perfect balance of pacers. So this is the reason why I would go with these three.
Quite a nice comment that has come in by Robin Kumar. I just wanted to say you make my long commute feel not lethargic at all. Thanks for that. Well, Robin, if you are from Bangalore, then I'm sure Anirudh and guys at cricket.com are familiar with you know how lethargic a long commute or traffic can be. So yeah, we try our best to make sure that others don't feel that lethargy. So, but thank you so much, Robin. I hope you like the press the like button itself and subscribe to the channel, and ask your other friends or family who are interested in the game of cricket to just follow cricket.com on all the social media that is there. And yeah, I mean, you can see the handles on the screen anyway. On Twitter, we are there as We Are Cricket. On Instagram, it is cricket.com_official. And on YouTube, it's cricket.com/team. Anyway, we're taking a few more questions that have come in here now. Chetan is asking, after giving chances to so many players, I still have a feeling that we will end up with the same old squad who were represented in the previous World Cup. Good, but that's the reality. Okay. Chetan, this is something that we touched upon before you sent in this question, that both of us feel that India now need to narrow down a group of 20 to 22 players, and from there on should look to narrow down the 50. I'm not sure if we have the same old squad, because I don't think Rohit and Dravid will make the same mistakes that they did in while selecting the squad or while finalizing the squad for the World T20. For starters, I don't see Shikhar Dhawan playing the next ODI series for India, because if he does, then I think we are not learning, and we'll be going in with a top three that is not comfortable anymore against spin, because we've seen Rohit and Virat Kohli as well struggle against spin, and Shikhar Dhawan has had a very quiet year as a batter. His strike
Yeah.
rate, I think, has been below 75 for the first time in the last 9 years, and you can see that he's getting beaten for pace and he's being rushed for pace, and now he needs to take a lot more risk against pace to have that brisk scoring or the fast starts which can allow him to take that time. So yeah, it would be quite disappointing honestly if India do stick with Shikhar Dhawan, but I don't see that happening now, and which is why I won't be surprised if India do drop Shikhar Dhawan. But I just hope that if they drop him for a Rahul Tripathi or a Rajat Patidar, they do give them chances going forward ahead. I don't mind even if they give one more game to Shikhar Dhawan, because I think it's time for him. Archit Sharma has actually now asked me a question from where I just left. Uh, I don't mind them giving a chance, but my question is that if now that you've given them a chance, what is the next step? Do they feature in your group of 20 or 22 players that you want to finalize for the last 15, for the 15 that play the World Cup, or do you drop them, or do you persist with them? Because in my view, both of them shouldn't have been in the squad. India should have ideally had two of Sanju Samson, Sky, or Deepak Hooda. Deepak Hooda would have been the perfect number six for this series. I don't know why he wasn't selected. So if it is only about giving them one game, then India are better off not giving them that one game. But if India do want to look forward at them, or look forward towards them as a few option as an option in the next year's World Cup, then maybe they can. Okay, a question for from women's cricket. Anil, do you want to take this or
Okay,
should
why
I
is
answer?
Shika Pant and not in the team? She is one of the best wing bowlers in the world and handy with the bat to interest. Like well, I know Shika Pandey has been very good with the new ball, but now that role has been taken over by Renuka Singh Thakur. That is for sure. जैसे कि like how the way she is bowling, I don't think anybody can replace her. So this is one of my biggest feeling because Shika Pandey towards like last uh, 1 year maybe उसने कुछ ज्यादा कुछ नहीं किया नहीं है. Let me see. उसका
Yeah, so I don't think that she should have been dropped. I still think that India could have given her a few more games because of what she's done. What I have read is that she's performed decently in the domestic tournaments as well. And really, there needs to be minimum of an explanation as to why she was dropped. In fact, I am quite surprised that someone like Sneh Rana is also not playing with the T20I series versus South Africa because she's someone who can be a very good number six or a number seven. She can give you those big hits, bowls well as well. So it's quite surprising a few of these selections, and they really don't make a lot of sense in my view. Uh, Hopefully, we at somewhere down the line we start getting an explanation of the decisions which they are taking. I think that is something which is really needed because, and if it's not being given to us, I hope it's being given to the players because
yeah.
sometimes I've heard and I've read about complaints of the players themselves of not knowing that why were they dropped. So if the players don't know, then fans getting to know is something is a bit of a luxury, don't you think? So the
So okay, so coming back to that Achitawala point, Priyanshu wala point. So like, see, the comparison is very evident. मैं वही बोल रहा था like last year she didn't have a great run. शिखा पांडे ने T20Is में भी even in 2020 she didn't have a great run. 10 matches, 10 wickets. Again, like in comparison, what Renuka has done this year is just amazing. एक ODI में 7 मैच 80 seven matches to 18 wickets at an average of 14.9 and 19.3 strike rate, and in T20Is 17 matches 20 wickets at an average of 17.8, economy of 5.9 and 18.3. When you have such a good bowler like who's performing at the top, you won't go back to a player who has sound kind of found kind of getting into that decline area. So you nobody will select them. So जब एक bowler and for India coming in as a pacer it's very difficult क्योंकि आपके पास already पूजा वस्त्राकर है who can bat and then you have Renuka Singh और इसके ऊपर फिर से एक और को लाना. It's gonna be difficult because you already have a lot of spinners in India.
okay, I hope that question's answered. I want to take this question by Priyanshu Shah. So I think if it's somewhat, I liked when the super sub rule was there in the ODIs, but what I didn't like about it was that it was being you had to name the super sub before the toss. I think if the impact player is named after the toss, it makes sense because who knows, it might just give a few opportunities to the players who've been doing well in say the Sayyid Mushtaq Ali or the Vijay Hazare Trophy, but not getting chances at the IPL level. Someone like Ishan Porel is a perfect example. Now, yes, it might, decrease it might just stop the development or might have an impact on the development of all rounders and it might sell them short, but it could work for a few players as well. It's not necessary that, they will own, like, it will not help at all. Like I said, someone like Ishan Porel, who was in Kings 11 or sorry, Punjab Kings over the last 3 years, couldn't really get a chance because of the balance issues. Now, someone like him, if Punjab start back playing with seven batters and then substitute one of the batters
Substitute.
for a player like him, then yes, they would have been doing other fine even without having a genuine all rounder. And this rule will actually not go down well with teams who've done a good job in assembling a balanced squad. So yes, there are negatives attached to it, but there are a few positives as well, and we might have to wait and see how it works out. So
Uh,
what your point is valid that it will actually bring down the value of all rounders, but then it is also about giving a few chances to others. And what I have read is that impact players rule might only be in place for Indian cricketers. So if it is only there for Indian cricketers, then who knows, it might just
Uh,
benefit them.
the other positive which I felt was like impact players, you can change them in mid innings. Even in the mid innings, you can change. Like even if somebody is having a bad day, that is one of the biggest thing. Like okay, fine, you know that he's not gonna go for it, and then you can change him. So that is one of the good that is one of the best positive I felt in impact players. So rather than dampening his confidence, it's better to sit him out. Okay, fine, you sit out for this much, and next you'll come in. Somebody get in some. It's different if it's different that he the one who comes in, he might go for runs or whatever it is, but at least it doesn't affect too much on the particular player.
Just an update for our viewers who are watching the show. The toss has happened between India and Australia. Australia won the toss and they've chosen to bowl first. And the game's going to start in the next 24 minutes. So yeah, the game is going to start in the next 24 minutes, and Australia have won the toss and chosen to bowl first. Taking a few other questions and comments, Vansh Kothari saying people are going too harsh on Dravid by saying this year is 2006 for him, and next year will be 2007 ODI World Cup. Yes, I agree with you. People have been quite harsh, and I think a lot of it is just the frustration of not being able to win a trophy overall in the last 7 8 years. But I also think it's unfair to blame one person for it. Nimish Juneja is asking me if once Pant gets back, who between him and KL will play at 4-5. My choice would be Pant, but what I've seen is Dravid sees Bradman in him, and we have seen he always bottled in win matches. I think what Nimish is implying that Rahul Dravid sees Bradman in KL Rahul. Okay, so here's the thing: KL Rahul has been quite brilliant at number 5 for India in ODIs. So I don't think he should be moved because that is one spot that is very difficult to perform at in ODIs because you sometimes he's been rebuilding innings at quite a decent pace. Even when he's had to come in early or come and attack, he's been able to do that. I think there's another possibility somewhere here. Once, if and when India drop Shikhar Dhawan, I think the possibility that we are looking at here is that someone like Pant can open with Shreyas coming at number 4 and Virat Kohli at number 3. If India do stick with Shubman Gill as an opener, if he replaces Shikhar Dhawan, then I think one of Shreyas, KL or Pant will sit out, and it would depend upon the respective forms of the players and how all of them are doing, and where do India see a lot more value, and it could just come down to the conditions as well. I think all three will be in the squad for sure, but it might just come down to how KL Rahul is keeping, uh, how well is Rishabh Pant performing in ODIs, in the next year. So it will not be an easy call, and I think what would happen to accommodate all three of them is that Pant could open. If that happens, then someone like Shubman Gill might just become a backup opener in the squad. So we'll have to wait and see how it happens because it's a very tough call that who do you want to leave out. Because Shreyas has shown that he's very consistent, but then he has issues against short ball which are being now telegraphed and everyone knows about it. In the first innings also he got out to a short ball on a slowish pitch. So he, there are issues with all three of them. It all is just going to come down to which issue does the team management think is more workable, and what might just fit the combination a lot more.
And the one more thing which I see is like KL Rahul as a middle order batter, like by numbers he has like great, like even Against Pacers, he strikes at 101 and spinners against 99. So, and I know this is not going to work, but somewhere I feel there is an outside of a box thinking that if KL Rahul is going to become the captain, if he is going to become the captain, everybody knows that for a keeper, it's way easy for somebody to manage the field setting. It's way easy than being at covers or being at long off or whatever it is. Like it is way better to judge the game as a keeper. So this is something which I feel, which is out of the box. Obviously, it's real. It's not realistic, maybe, but what I feel.
Interesting. Uh, Also, for that, we have to see that how is he, how much is he keeping for his
Yeah,
franchise side? Because from what I've seen in the last 1.5 or 2 years, I don't think he kept a lot in the 2021 IPL either. So if
no,
he's
he
not
didn't.
keeping for his IPL side as well, if he's not keeping regularly for India, then we don't know if he. Also, it's not easy. Keeping is not an easy job. It can
Yeah,
get physically tiring, which could lead to mental tiredness as well. So, it, few difficult decisions and few difficult questions in front of India before they finally start the process of nailing down the 15 for the World Cup. Akash Shivasubramaniam is asking me how long should be a rope be for the senior players and for fringe players. Also, are India stuck in this situation before because of injury? Injuries have certainly played a part. So has COVID, because there's been absolutely no continuity whatsoever. I think for fringe players, the minimum amount of games that you want to give to a young player who's just coming into the team, I think it's somewhere around 10. But I understand and realize why it could be difficult in a World Cup year where you want to try out a lot of players. So either you just decide that these are the players that I'm going to back on the basis of what you've watched and their performances. Now, whether those performances could be in the IPL or in Test matches, I know people talk about not mixing formats, which is fair to some extent, but at the end of the day, it's the same game. It's the same sport, and skills also, I think, to some extent are transferable. Someone like AB de Villiers has shown us that how he could nail all three formats, and skills could be transferable. So either if you are confused, I think you still need to give, if not 10, then at least 8 games. Two series should be the minimum. I think now some series are also getting shorter. They are 3 game series, so 6 matches.
no,
Sometimes you don't even get a chance to bat, or sometimes you come out to bat in a situation where you just have to go for everything. So it could get difficult. But yeah, I think ideally 8, 10 games should be the minimum. If not 10, then you can reduce it to 8 maybe. I think. And as far as senior players are concerned, uh, someone like now India have given someone like Shikhar Dhawan. I believe in the South Africa series he was doing well in January. Uh, he didn't really play. I think he only played one game against West Indies in when that series happened in India, because he was out due to COVID for 2 games. But I think India have given Shikhar Dhawan now around 15 or 16 games post the IPL. And you can't always go by numbers alone. You also have to observe what are the issues that are there in the game. And so if India have given him, 15 games or 16 games, I think it's it's a decent rope. I genuinely think it's a decent rope. But if maybe someone like Rohit or Virat would have been in a similar situation, they would have probably gotten 2 to 3 more series. And it's fair because of their records, right? The Virat Kohli wasn't averaging 60 in ODIs to get dropped after 15 poor games or 15 bad games. And he's shown that there is something like big match temperament as well, something like experience also. So yeah, you have to
uh,
be flexible in these situations. I don't think
Paji,
there's
I'll
a
jump in. I'll jump in over here. So this is something which I always wanted to know. So, when we say you want to give Kohli a longer run because of his record, or Rohit because of his record, and it's not that Shikhar didn't have that kind of record. He was one of the prolific run scorers. You accept to the fact of that, right?
yeah,
He
yeah,
was one of the prolific run
100%,
scorers, and
100%.
And the thing is, till 2022. So in none of the years he had scored like below 87
Yeah,
strike rate and at a average of 55.
yeah,
And even in 2020, he had a strike rate he had an average of 55 and a strike rate of 93. And in 2021, he had a average of 58 at a strike rate of 94. So it's not that he doesn't have the record to say, okay, fine. When you're giving a longer rope to Kohli, who has had a good record, Rohit Sharma, who has had a good record, I know, like, okay, fine. For the 15 matches, even though you have had a good season till now, you have had 100 and what 200 innings of good matches, and 15 matches you're not performing. But it's not the same for other players. That is unfair, right?
yeah. But that's what I'm coming to. I don't think sport is entirely fair to each and every sports person out there, and it's not just cricket. There
Yeah,
is. I was just coming to that. That there is no one size fits all. Now, I wouldn't have said that India should move on from Shikhar Dhawan. If I so so if Shikhar was batting, I'd say uh, if say I think he's still averaging over 40. I think
yeah,
he's
he
averaging
still has.
43 this year. So
Yeah,
if Shikhar was averaging 38 this year and had a strike rate of around 85, right? I wouldn't have
yeah,
said that India need to drop him because I
mm,
know that then you have to look at things differently. Then you have to see that maybe he's getting dismissed cheaply. There are soft dismissals, and he's still having that touch and that flow in his game, which has made him the player that he was, right? So you can't just go by numbers alone. From my observation, what I've seen is, and I saw this in this IPL as well, it's just he's getting beaten for pace and time while playing pacers of 135 plus, and that I think is a problem. And he was never the greatest players against spin bowling before 2019 or 20 before 2019 IPL. His numbers against left arm spin in T20s also wasn't great. Like he was one of those left arm batters, if left-handed batters against who captains could bowl a left arm orthodox spinner because he didn't used to play the slot sweep enough. He was majorly an inside out or a play, that kind of a batter who would have a lot of touch play. But what helped him from that 2019 IPL, and you could see that his numbers from the 2019 to 2021 IPL just stand out brilliantly. Is one, he changed his intent. Two, he realized that he will need to premeditate a lot more because bowlers were starting to tie him up around the off stump by not giving him room, and then he started to move outside towards the off stump to open up the leg side a lot more, move around the crease. He started developing a few shots. Now I think if he starts to do that again, his consistency will take a beating in ODIs, and that is what is happening. So again, what I'm saying is that it has to be a combination of what is the overall health of the game of the player, how are they performing, and is there a pattern. Now from what I've seen with Shikhar Dhawan is like I said, he starts getting beaten, but as we saw in that first ODI versus New Zealand, if he has batted a few balls, say 30, 40 balls, then his premeditation gets better and he can actually then start to find boundaries once again. The question is, can India afford another kind of an opener who starts slow? Because Rohit is also from that mold itself. And I don't think in today's cricket you can have two similar kind of openers, both of whom, after 40 balls will be batting around, 25, 27, 28. I don't think that can work right now. And I think both of us will have to agree that, you know, if we are looking for an anchor sort of an opener who can go big later on, then someone like Rohit is definitely the better and a better pick. In fact, Shikhar Dhawan for the longest time I've observed with his game is that he's also been able to time his dismissal perfectly. Once he knows that the middle over has have come, or you see a lot of his hundreds. I think he has 18 hundreds if I'm not wrong, and
yeah,
only two are more than scores of 130. Because even after getting his 100, and he gets his 100 in decent amount of time. He doesn't take a lot of time. He will get them in somewhere between 95 to 105 balls. He knows that he now has to time his dismissal for the hitters to come in because he lacked those shots before. So it's also down to the team combination. A lot of things over there which are making it a problem for Shikhar Dhawan to be in the 11.
Yeah. So that is what like the thing. The only thing is like the visible confidence. By visible confidence, we have to go by that. I accept that fact. I have been saying this. Yes, Shikhar Dhawan should not be our opener for the ODI World Cup. I absolutely agree to it. I don't want Shikhar Dhawan even in the 11. I mean, in the 15 member squad. But
I
if we
think
are just, yeah.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
So
I thought
if
you
we
were.
are no, if we are just going by numbers, then I don't think so. We can blame Dhawan.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, has batted and done well for India. I think, from 2013 to 2021, he's done quite well. But the drop in strike rate has been so sharp. Also,
I that
also
I
what
that I
happens,
accept.
also
That I
what
accept.
happens is, what happens is, uh, you see players who are waiting in the lineup who also seem to be ready. Someone like Shubman
Hmm.
Gill just seems to be made for the ODI cricket
Exactly.
format. Right now, India for the longest time. Now, if I, I'll take the example of Test cricket here. Uh, Someone like Ajinkya Rahane got persisted with for a long time. Post 2016 to the time he was dropped, he was averaging less than 35, and you only knew that he will bat. He'll have one good innings in every series, and apart from that, you won't get a lot out of him. Uh, and India still kept carrying him because they felt that they don't have a middle order batter who can play at pace as well as him, and they just thought that they didn't have a replacement. Now I'm not
Yeah.
sure whether it was just down to their belief or there wasn't actually a replacement. I don't know. So he was persistent with. At the same time, someone like Ishant Sharma went out of reckoning on the back of what I would say two bad test matches. Because in Lords he bowled well. He didn't look 100% to me, but he bowled well. He bowled quite well on that in that third in Lords in
Third
that third
test.
evening
Lords.
on the on the evening of the third day. But in Leeds he was poor. He didn't play the fourth test, and then he played the Kanpur test match. He didn't play the test match in Mumbai. And after those two test matches, he went to South Africa, yes, but he didn't play. He didn't play a
Yeah.
single test match. Mohammad Siraj played ahead of him, and then when Siraj was injured, Umesh Yadav played ahead of him, and that was Umesh Yadav's first test match in South Africa in 4 2s. So it depends a lot upon on who are the players. If there are players ready to replace you, then the rope becomes shorter. If there are no
Yeah.
players, then the ropes can actually be very big, like how they were in the case of Ajinkya Rahane.
So the thing over here is for when it comes to Shikhar Dhawan, he 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 doesn't have a big rope of like pool of players as openers. This is I felt this is one of the reason why they are persisting with him. Like if you see, like I know there are a lot of players who are in the reckoning but aren't proven still. So basically, you have Ishan Kishan, Ruturaj Gaikwad, and maybe Rahul Tripathi as your opener, but they haven't got a game. They aren't still proven as openers. Gill, yes, Gill is the only one who can suddenly replace him. But after Gill, there is nobody.
Yeah,
If Rohit is not present, Gill is there, then there is no other opener to replace Shikhar Dhawan.
I think the thought process over there is that someone like KL Rahul can then open if both your if
But
even
again,
Rohit
that
Sharma is not
but
there.
again that comes up to the same old mistake. Like when you know KL Rahul is your wicketkeeper batsman and number five batter, and he's been performing whenever he's been given the chance as a number four or number five, and he fails as an opener, and still if you go for it, then that is again another
Yeah,
failure.
it's a mistake. That there's a reason when we were discussing this early on. I also said that I won't be surprised if even when if India have to play all three of KL, Shreyas, and Pant, that they might just open with Pant and might see
Yeah.
how he fares as an opener while maintaining a left hand right hand combination. It might be my personal bias at overhead, but I do think that, and no disrespect to anyone overhead, but I do think that in white ball, opening in most of the conditions is the most easiest position to bat,
Yeah.
because now the ball doesn't move as much as it used to, right? And then you have the benefit of the field restrictions as well. So I do think that, nailing down middle order batters is far more difficult than nailing down openers. Is
Mm.
that's what I feel. But yeah, we've now been on for the show for 55 minutes, and I could have gone longer as I've been. Oh, we lost Anirudh. I don't know what happened here, but I can go longer on this show as I have before, many times in the last 3 4 episodes. But today's a game, an India Australia game, which is going to start in about the next 4 minutes. And like a lot of you, I also want to watch that game. So I'll now be ending this show, and if you have a few more questions, send it. We'll discuss that. I actually, wanted to take this comment that what are my views on Madan Lal's statement. I actually wanted to, ask a lot of you that what is the statement that is coming, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of time to take that statement. Before I go, I just want to ask you guys once again to please like the video and share this video with your friends or those who you feel actually like cricket and cricket content. Don't forget to subscribe to the cricket.com channel. Uh, it's there on the screen. What are the handles of cricket.com on various social media? On Twitter, we are there as we are cricket. On Instagram, it's cricket.com underscore official. And you can also follow me on social media. Uh, I'm there as Gurkirat S Game on Twitter and GillyCricket on Instagram. Uh, Abhay Warrior has just asked me, could you give me your predictions for the Indian 11 for the 2027 World Cup? Are you sure, Abhay, you are asking me about the 2027 World Cup, or are you asking me about the 2023 World Cup? Just want to be clear, but yeah, I think 2027 is still a long time ago, still 5 years to go. Anirudh's back. I'm going to add him,
Yes.
and
Sorry, I just
yeah.
lost some. I had some internet issues in my over here. Sorry. Yeah.
Priyanshu Shah saying, request you to be more active on pre-season. I will try. I will try. There's a lot. I try and be active on as many platforms as it's possible. So before we go, Anirudh, any final thoughts from your end on the game that is going
2027.
to happen, or on the game which is going to happen tomorrow? Anything?
I think Kishan- I think this will be one of the innings where Kishan defines as an opener. I really feel that. So that is one thing. That is what I am looking for. Apart from that, there is nothing actually in this series to look forward for now. Nay, the trial and run error has been done, and you know what your players is like. How Rahul Dravid said, we do have positives, but he's hoping for the only thing what him and Rohit Sharma are hoping for is that they play a match with their whole strength to see.
I felt that India's biggest positive in ODIs this year have been Shubman Gill, Shardul
Yeah,
Thakur, and Mohammad Siraj. I almost forgot
Mohammad
him.
Siraj, Mohammad
And
Siraj, yes, of
then
course.
Washington Sundar. I think Washington Sundar has done very well with the ball, even
Hmm.
when he's not taken wickets. The first ODI against New Zealand, I thought he was unlucky. He only ended up with figures of 0 for 42. Could have ended up with
Yeah,
2 wickets on some other day where he would have been a little more lucky. And I think what really goes in his favor is that his height allows him to just get that little more extra bounce than what other spinners would do, which I think can actually be a differential on low and slow wickets, because batters don't expect the ball to bounce on those pitches. So for me, these four have been the biggest positives for India in ODI cricket this year. Just we'll just answer Abhay's hypothetical question before I go. So the Indian ODI 11 for the 2027 World Cup. Okay, Shubman Gill and Prithvi Shaw opening. Maybe Shreyas Iyer at one down. Two down. Who would be two down? Maybe Tilak Verma. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. One of Tilak Verma or Abhishek Sharma. Five, I think, would be no. Four would be Rishabh Pant. Yeah, There's Rishabh Pant. So four would be Rishabh Pant. Then one of Tilak Verma or Rahul Tripathi or Abhishek Sharma. Number six, Sanju Samson. Seven, Washington Sundar. Still think he has age on his side. Eight could be one of Akshar Patel or Shahbaz. Akshar Patel could be on his last legs. If not Akshar Patel, then Shahbaz Ahmed because I don't see Ravindra Jadeja playing till then. Now we are into the three pacers. Mohammad Siraj would be definitely one. I suppose maybe Ashmi along with Umrah. Yeah, I hope this is the 11 because if this is the 11 going into the 2027 World Cup, we could be assured that all the youngsters and all the talent that has come into the pipeline has actually done well, and we would know that Indian cricket is in safe hands even after 2027 World Cup. And I think on this note, I'd end the show. Thank you so much, Anirudh, for joining
Thank you.
us and for the stats and the numbers you always give us. Uh, yeah, ending the show. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back every Friday. Tomorrow we'll also have a watch along at some point of time during the ODI game, and we post about that on our social media. Do follow us on our social media platforms, and do join us then tomorrow as well. And I'll be back next Friday, hopefully that time at 8 p.m. because the last two times it hasn't been at 8 p.m. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Good night. Enjoy the game.